People oftentimes ask me why I watch Marvel movies and why I'm such a Marvel fanatic. And I think there's always a lesson outside of the superheroes. I think we all have our own individual superhero moments. One thing that comes to mind for me is in Endgame. I think that was the right one. Dr. Strange said that there were 1 in 14 million scenarios, and there was only one where they would beat Thanos. Since we last saw you, there have been many 1 in some unfavorable amount of odds that have happened. The Super Bowl champion Eagles had a quarterback that they said he couldn't throw the ball, he couldn't perform on the big stage, and now he's a Super Bowl champion quarterback. Kendrick Lamar, they said that when he first came out that he was too raw, his lyrics were too dark, he wouldn't make it on the big stage. Now he's a multi-time Grammy Award winner and just popular on the big stage. So much so that he is so popular that people want to act like he is unpopular. And that's when you know that you've really gotten big, when people want to give all the reasons why you're not big. Mm-hmm. There are many of you that you've been told you will never be the best at what you do, or the time will never come for you. And my question to you is, do you believe it, or do you continue to show up? Right now, with the state of the country, it's just an unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. And I would say to you, and when I say you, I'm going to go Black people first. Is this our end game? Is this our 1 in 14 million scenarios? Are we the missing thing that can shift the current state of affairs? Now let's go a little bit deeper. Black man, is this our time? Is this our time to show up? Are we the thing that is unaccounted for, that they've counted out and said that we can never lead a movement, that we don't have the cohesion, we don't have the intelligence, we don't have the perseverance or the fortitude to lead a movement and raise up a people? I think the time is there. I think the time is now for us to rise up and show that not only can we lead our people, but we can lead all people. Today on our show, we will talk about, is this the time? Are we in the end game? And is this the beginning of the evolution of the Black male?
Welcome to where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views, they are amazing.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 13th floor, where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views, they are amazing. You heard my guy, Coach K, do the introduction to the show. We got BJ here in the building tonight. And as always, it's me, B. Jones, doing the moderator on the show. I want to remind everybody, if this is your first time listening, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you are up to date and notified every time we drop, because you never know when we're going to drop. It could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 2 days, but you always want to stay on top of this 13th Floor podcast because as you can see, the conversations that we're having are amazing. We're into shifting, the culture forward and motivating folks, man. I love the way Carol started us off with is this our end game? And then putting the challenge out there. So we want to get into a little bit of that today.
It could be morning, depending on when they're listening. They might be listening in the morning.
Yes, sir.
Afternoon, the evening, at night. Don't fall asleep if you listen to us at night.
Nah, man. Hopefully we keep them engaged enough not to do that, man. Sorry for the confusion. I feel like like a weary war veteran coming back into society and getting assimilated to actually being back home since I've been dealing with this casino hotel project for the better part of 6 months, going back and forth to Shreveport. So things have been a little bit interesting. I feel like as I've slowed down, the world is just still moving in super fast motion. So, trying to stay abreast and stay caught up, but also staying engaged with the family and friends and the podcast. So, bear with me, ladies and gentlemen.
Listen, man, I don't think that your exhaustion, if you will, is really going to Shreveport and traveling every week, because I haven't really been traveling. I think I traveled once in the last couple of weeks, but I feel tired. And I
Hmm.
think it's just a matter of everything that's going on. I think that's part of the tactic. Like, let's
Right.
throw all these things out so that you will be mentally fatigued, because whether consciously or subconsciously, your mind is still constantly going. And that's why you just got to turn it off at some point, because otherwise your subconscious is still trying to make sense of it all.
So about a week and a half ago, I saw a post. I think it was Instagram, one or two. Anything on Instagram was probably from TikTok now back in it, whatever. It don't matter. But it was to addressed to Black America. And the question, the video started, it was what they call it, a mesh from a response to somebody else's video. It started off with somebody asking, non-black asking, so Black Lives Matters, where are you at now? Black America, where you at now? And she interrupted and said, resting.
Absolutely.
And I felt it, and I have held on to that for the last week and a half since I've seen that. Because and she went on to discuss a little bit more, so resting, and she said the 92 and the 78, if I'm getting my percentages correct, we did our part. We did our part early on, and it was our voices were silenced, our votes were discounted, um, and then our pleas went unheard. So now is the time for the 92 and 78 to rest, because our fight isn't over with. But right now, black bodies on the front line, black bodies standing up for everybody else to be the fall guy for everything that's going on right now. This is not our fight right now.
Now, BJ, when you say the 92 and the 78, what are you referring to?
Sorry. So the 92% of black female voters that voted in opposition of current
Hmm,
administration, and 78 of black male voters.
I got you.
Overwhelmingly, the black community did their part. So the question was like, Black Lives Matters, where are you at now?
Hmm.
Um, why don't we hear your voice? Because the
Hmm.
first thing happen is when something happens, who are the first bodies to be killed, if you will, killed, maimed, hurt along the way? It's when black and brown people step up and that anger finally comes out, that and now we're fighting that battle for everybody when we were trying to fight the battle with everybody early on. So now is
Hmm.
the time to rest, because it's not, the fight's not over, and it's
Hmm.
not like we don't do anything, but that really resonated with me. Now's our time to rest. Like, there's really nothing, not saying there's nothing else we can do, but the what we're being pulled into is not our fight right now.
I don't know. I think I look at it a little bit differently. And I look at it as, we've known all along. So, to be perfectly honest, we're not surprised at what's happening.
Oh no.
We're not surprised at the misplaced trust of the taking advantage of people that just believe that you're on their side and you're going to do. I do think, once again, that we are the mystery piece, because we've already been counted out. Nobody's expecting us to get up and do anything. It's
And that's the
Go ahead.
okay.
No, go ahead. You good?
Honestly, I think that's the perfect place to be in right now. I think that there should be some of what BJ is saying where you take I'm not gonna say rest, but I do think we take somewhat of a backseat and not in a sense of not making any progress or organizing or trying to be better for our communities or build better for our communities. I think it looks a certain type of way, and it doesn't have to be, a lot of black voices, brown voices, whoever, being loud on a pulpit, hanging out
Mhm.
with Maxine Waters and Chuck Schumer, and chanting and everything, or being super loud in the streets. I do think there's a time and a place for it. Like we've seen some demonstrations. I believe it was Ohio, where the community got
My
together because
my hometown.
even better. So you
Yeah.
probably know some people close to that. So we saw some demonstrations in Ohio, community demonstrations where we're going to protect our own, and I think that's very important. I think there has to be a level of introspection at this particular time, to because I think we think we know what we're dealing with this administration. We think we know the people who are making the waves and moves, but as you alluded to, Curl, it's something like they rapid firing. It's a Uzi out there, and it's something new every day. And if you're not careful, you can get caught up in all of that and miss the mark or miss your opportunity. I think when it comes to the rising up factor, we have to figure out what that looks like for our respective communities. I think that's where the work needs to be done. That's where the focus needs to
Hmm.
be because nothing's changing for at least the next 2 years. And you really have to be engaged nationally, but there's a lot of things that we can do, locally. And it doesn't necessarily have to be political in nature. Like we can form community programs like we've seen in the 70s and the 60s and the 50s and early 80s to help people deal with whatever the mental anguish that might be going on, the financial distress, the educational issues that might be going on. Some folks are losing their jobs, if you with the government, left and right. There's a lot that we can organize and do amongst ourselves to help ourselves and not be on the grand stage or, trying to affect things that really at this point, I don't know we have much control over. It's like you can't do anything but okay, that's what's happening. Another Trump executive order, another Doge, this, another DOJ that. Those things, yeah, you can't affect that, but you can affect your house, you can affect your immediate community, and I think that's where the heightened focus, if there is going to be rest, it's resting on those principles and that work.
Definitely agree. And again, I don't want the rest to be lost in take a back, like I said, take a back seat or just sit by the sideline. It is rest from the front line fight, as far as like you said, the stuff we don't have control of, and then taking care of what's in the immediate thing, your house, your community. And again, we talked about that. I don't know how many shows we've talked about over the years, but bringing back that sense of what community really is, because again, in a time of emergency or natural disaster, it's community as a whole. But on any given day of the week, that's not in one of those two circumstances, like what does community really look like for our community as a whole? We've lost that sense of me for you, you for me. Again, not everything. It's not a I'm just gonna give everything, but I'm gonna help out the community as a whole. What do I have to contribute to my community? What my time, my talent, my treasure. And I always go back to the line, y'all know, rest if you must, but don't you quit.
Yeah. I agree with that. And I would say if we look at this this has historical, they played a long game, right?
Yes.
The powers that be played a long game. And we're
Mhm.
always just thinking like right now,
Yep.
Yes.
maybe the next year to 5 years. What's your 5-year plan? This plan has been in place for so long. This goes back to desegregation. I always say desegregation was not done because it's the right thing to do. And because all of a sudden, as a country, we developed this consciousness,
Oh,
it was developed because of the almighty dollar. Our dollar was not circulating amongst everyone, it was circulating within our communities. The
Mm-hmm.
thing that is feared most to what is happening is solidarity and cohesion.
Mm-hmm.
of course.
The moment you get solidarity and cohesion, stuff like this doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
This was based all on
Division.
timing and opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how this happened. Everybody was so divided
Mm-hmm.
that now you got something that everyone's shocked by, but we were told.
Yeah.
We were told, and everybody was in disbelief.
The
Just
playbook was handed to us.
just talking, just running their mouths. So now is the time. This is a gift. This is a gift of time. We're not on the front line. We can go handle our stuff in house. What's the differences? What do we need to resolve to move forward? And then do that. I go back. I go back to the Marvel movies. You know, if if you look at it in Black Panther, the first movie, Panther Tribe was about to lose. They were about to be out of power.
Mhm.
And then what happened? Oh, this is gonna make BJ so happy. You did ooh, 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 right? And they were like, feel the power of the Jabari tribe, right?
Yeah.
They had been in isolation for how many years, and now they came out and they turned the tide. We have the opportunity to turn the tide now.
That's a fair assessment.
I'm sure you do think it's a fair assessment. The ape guy.
Same. No.
So with that and your call to action or talking about this being an opportunity for Black men, why, Carol, do you feel like this is the opportunity for Black men to step up to the plate, given, where we are currently and I guess some recent experiences? What makes you say that this is that opportunity?
I think at this point, we have let the scenario or the perception go for such a long time that we're not capable, we can't lead, we're lazy, we're this, we're that, we're over dependent on the Black woman. And we know there's yeah, there's some people, there's some bums out there, but for the most part, we're an aspiring group of individuals. We've just never come together in cohesion to be able to display that. We've been sitting back,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we've been working within our immediate responsibilities and
Mm-hmm.
priorities. But now I think the time is here. The time is right because there's no pressure on us.
Mm.
Nobody's expecting us to show up and show out. And
That's the
Mm-hmm.
wild
therefore,
part. Yep.
by the time they realize that we're there and we're doing something, too late. Too late. We're already here and we've already started to lay the foundation. So that's why I think the timing is right because look, they expect Black women to be there. They expect white women to be there. They expect the LGBTQ plus community to be there. The Hispanic community, they're kind of it's interesting.
Very.
But I'm sure there's some division there. And I'm sure that division is starting to increase where they're like, wait a minute, what are we doing?
Mhm.
We've already been there. We've already been
Mm-hmm.
through that part. So now I think like We are the secret weapon. We are the thing that they're not going to see coming. And they know it because if you think about it, over the last 10 years, even go back further, you go back even further than that. Any threat of a black male that pops up that seems like, oh, wait a minute, this person's going to show up and show that it's not true, something
Shut,
happens.
shut it down. Yo.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Something happens.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when we're standing up in ones and twos.
Correct.
What happens when we all stand up?
Do you
And don't
see? Oh, go ahead, BJ. I'm sorry.
I say, and as a society, other black males in the society as a whole, it's um, don't look past the messenger. Don't look past the message as the messenger. Because again, one of the things you tell you all the time is that um, people are used for specific reasons. Like their voices are elevated at a particular time for a particular reason. Again, I go back to when I look at biblical, like the people who had the greatest impact, the people who were side by side, were the people that were never expected to be right by Christ's side. Um, they had the occupations and jobs in history of the worst people ever. Like you were the tax collector. That was like the worst occupation you could have against your own people. You were a zealot. The all these other occupations and things that labels that were put against you, those were the people that, despite what the world said about you, had the most impact. It had the job of carrying on after the earthly visit was gone. The people they least expected to go just to go along with your point. The people that everybody else counted out were the ones who were charged with continuing to spread the message and grow.
So if I'm listening to y'all, correctly, it sounds like ultimately, at some point or another, this is going to become, our fight to lead.
I'm truly there.
Uh, I, I I think it's time, and it's not even with the purpose of elevating ourselves into the ultimate space of leadership.
I don't think we ever really even have that type of,
That's not our motive.
yeah, the
Oh,
motive. Exactly. That's what I'm like. I
That
don't think
that's
we've
not our
ever
motive.
had those motives. Go ahead.
That's not our motive, and I think what we have to get past, and I think you're hearing more and more black males talk about therapy. There's more groups on Instagram and social media that I've ever seen before for black men in therapy. And I think the overall push is that because the image of us has been so tainted historically, we think that we now have to counter that narrative with perfection.
Mm,
And perfection is not required.
no.
Intention and action. If we can do those two things, we're off to the races. And what you said, BJ, is true. We are the most critical people of ourselves, and it's because we don't want to be set back or we don't want anybody to prove a misconception to be true.
Yeah, that's 100 right there because I that's a self battle I fight on a regular basis. Like for the most part, I don't care what people think about me. But if you question me as a husband or a father, provider, and then of course it's going to be the black male stereotype this applied to that, I'm gonna do anything in my power to make sure I you can never put me into that mold. If
Yep.
even that means I have to drop dead on the spot. And I found myself in that position many times before. Working everything mentally, physically, spiritually to the point where it's like you're almost dead. In some area, it's gone. But on the brink, you rejuvenate it. So something pulls you back because it's not your time yet. And that's real. And that's a real statement when you think about just the impact of just the black male kids on a regular basis. Like even having a conversation this afternoon with some other colleagues, and it really was about what people in general, what people are saying and what people can do for their jobs if they see something happen at their job, or if something in general is under attack. In the field of education, everything is coming under attack right now, right? I can't say the same thing, even though I'm thinking the same thing that my white counterpart, my Hispanic counterpart, somebody from the LGBT plus community is counterpart. I can't say the same thing because at the end of the day, my voice is a threat, and then my job is at stake, and my livelihood and taking care of everything is at stake. So somebody else may be able to say something, and it may be a slap on the wrist, but for me, it's more critical. I have to think about every move is playing chess out here with every single move and every single conversation. And when you do that, and you have to think through that every single conversation you have about every possibility of who might say this, who might say that, what's the repercussion of it, man, I'm tired.
Right.
I'm tired. I don't know how to say it.
And that is a weight to bear because you're not just thinking about you and how it's going to look. You're thinking about the fact that, man, if I don't show up well here, they may not give another black man a chance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we walk around with that, and we got to be. So it's funny. We all around here playing Doctor Strange with every single decision scenario. What's the 1 in 14 million different futures that could happen out of this? Trying to find the right one. And it's just like, listen, no human being should ever have that amount of pressure on them.
It's it's real.
And that's when I think we decide that, look, you know what? We're not even supposed to worry about the future. We're supposed to worry about this moment right now, right here. Am I representing myself? Representing myself, not representing every black male or the black race.
Right.
Right. And I think once we take that burden off of us, I think things get easier because you drop this responsibility that was put on us.
And you kind of drop, well, you drop the responsibility, but I think in the same token, when you take that stance and couple it with the understanding, and it's not easy. I struggle. I am practicing to be better about this every day. But when you couple it with the understanding that, you are of God's people, you are taken care of, and spiritually, there may be wars being waged, but if you stay strong in that, you will be good. You'll be taken care of. You might not be able to see it, but if you continue the manifestations and the positive, outlook, worrying is not gonna fix anything at the end of the day. So, for me, it's like coupling it with that type of understanding that, I'm gonna be taken care of regardless. Guys got me and my family, guys got my people. We just have to understand that that is the case all the time and move in it. You know what I'm saying? Move with that same sense of fervor that you see a Farrakhan come with each and every time he decides to turn on a microphone. That same intensity that I take, on the job site. Because, like you say, if I don't excel, and I'm one of the few black faces on a lot of these sites that I, go to, and I'm long locks and, beard, full beard, I stand out. It's easy for people to pull me out of the crowd. But if I don't excel, there's no telling, who might, if another black man or black person, whatever, would get that type of opportunity. So I think we have to find a way to get into that space and be comfortable there while doing the work and knowing we're gonna get there, we're gonna get the benefit.
Mhm.
I wanted to come back to Carol. You talked about division, and in this time, you're seeing a lot on social media. I'm encouraged by the amount of different faces and the amount of white people, but non-black faces that I see speak out about certain things, add context to a lot of the um, events that are, going on, and really putting out as much information to curtail the disinformation that is propagated through a lot of these channels on a regular basis. But when it comes to, cohesion, I also feel like there's a lot of cohesion amongst our, people. Now, it might be my algorithm. I don't know. But those of us who do care, it seems like, voices are starting to carry. Are you guys experiencing, or seeing a lot of that as well?
I would say so. And I don't. I mean, I might be in your algorithm as well. Minus, well, I do see a lot of Q sci-fi stuff, and I have no idea why. Like, um, but
You just spoke more into your algorithm, so I hope you know you're gonna see a
I
lot
guess
more
I
of it.
did just talk more. Yeah, because my phone is right there too. So yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna see some craziness next. I'll just forward it to Brett, like I usually do. Like, hey, y'all seen this? Um,
We wholesome, man, these days.
but one, yes, I do see a lot of non-black folks that are starting to speak up and say, this is crazy. Like, what is this? This is not true. And then I'm
There's a reason for that. I don't want to get too far away for that. The reason is because now it's hitting home that this is going to affect me too. And I'm gonna go back associated to what we're seeing with the whole DEI overall. DEI, the most people when they heard it because that's what was fed to them, it meant black. So D woke, DEI, woke, all that stuff is being as it gets black America, black uh speech, and people are realizing, hold up, I'm part of DEI. That self-realization and people losing jobs, people's families getting deported, people that are not being able to move stuff, programs falling off left and right, and saying, like, hey, this is affecting me too. So now it's become personal. So now we're starting to hear the voices. I didn't want to just drop that there. I don't know if that's where you're going. I'm sorry, but
no, ain't nothing to apologize for, man. It's because I'm walking around my halo today. Bink. Um, I think a lot of people are starting to realize that this never had anything to do with race. This was never about race. And I guarantee you, if you go out there and you ask, if you just start surveying people, what does DEI stand for? They probably couldn't even tell you what the acronym stands for. They just
Mhm.
know what's been pushed out there to go along with it, which was never the intent.
correct.
But I think more people are waking up to the fact, oh, this is not about race. This is not about immigrants. This is about who has money and who doesn't have money.
That's it. That's it.
Yep.
That's the secret.
And as long as we keep y'all fighting about stupid stuff, we gonna get more money.
Exactly.
While y'all out there worried about all types of foolishness, right? Now, don't get me wrong, you got a right to worry about, you know, deportation or losing benefits. You know, our veterans. I can't believe
Veterans,
that they
yes.
would go mess with veterans. Like, really? Like,
Yeah.
what is happening right now? But I also think all of this, some of this stuff is distraction. Like some of this stuff, there's no intent to really mess with it, but you messed up because you're getting these people riled up.
Mhm.
So it's a very interesting chess game where you watching the wrong piece on the board. Meanwhile, they move in this other piece that you're not paying attention to. But so you got to watch closely. But I think the thing that we have working for us right now that we've never had before, and again, chess, you got to think about why they make certain moves, right? Why the move to control TikTok. I think out of all the social media platforms, like the common ones, that was probably the one that had the most deregulation where people were just putting out truths or at least making you think about the truth. So, oh no, 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 we need to go control that, and we can't allow another country to control that because they can plant the seeds that start the revolution, right? So we need to jump in here and control this really quickly. But um, I think that is the piece that can we still take the tools that are available to us and use them for our communication, because we have to find a way to communicate. I think that's the missing piece right now. How do I reach and communicate with my brother that lives down in Decatur
Mm-hmm.
and he can hear what I'm saying? Like this very podcast. How do I get this podcast to the brothers in Liberty City, the brothers in Overtown,
Mm-hmm.
Decatur, Houston,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
Shreveport, Louisiana?
Mm-hmm.
How do they get this and start hearing this conversation and feeling like, huh? Because that's all it takes. It
That's
just
all it
takes
takes.
that one interruption and that noise that's being piped at you. I mean, think about it. This is a classic warfare tactic,
Definitely.
right? They would fly over countries and just drop pamphlets and leaflets with propaganda on it
Getting it every day.
and start something,
Getting
right?
it every day.
And we getting it every day through social media.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Or
going
we
back
getting it every day
analog,
through the
baby.
news.
We're going back analog radio, baby.
But no, no, seriously, I think that's the challenge, man. And I think that, if anything, we talked
And
about
now you
black
just gave me
men.
the answer. We just need to get on some of the pirate radio stations in our communities.
And that's the challenge, man. Getting the message out. I think we have enough channels, enough people, enough black men to help, make this thing happen. We got the support of, our black women. I think that's where the energy needs to go, man, because the more we can get people together, add to that cohesion, move as a compact unit, we can start impacting things the way we need to. Just how I've seen on social media several times, this boycott supposed to be scheduled for February 28th, like the blackout date, those types of things, propagating the message so we get more people involved, having people know where and where not to shop, all of these things. Because at the end of the day, it, like we said, it's about the money, it's about the dollars, where we're spending them at, and if
I
we,
want to talk about that though, Brett.
okay,
And we need to wrap this up quick because people probably checking out. But
that's what I was, trying to do, but you got it.
yeah, sorry. But the old tactics like boycotts and things like that, man, these folks, they're ready for that. Like as much as you
I
might see
don't
them
think so.
panic, no, they're ready for it because they know what the tactics are.
Okay,
So we got to do something different, right? So if you think about, take consider this for a second, right?
right.
How long we been dealing with inflation?
Probably what, 3 years now?
3 years now, right? We did any boycotts during inflation?
Nope.
Okay. So now we're going to turn around and do boycotts. And guess what? They already padded their finances. They already padded their accounts. That was a move. That was a move that like, hey, these businesses are going to survive because inflation is going to be up. So they're going to have this extra money.
So I challenge you there because I think, and I don't know. You can correct me if I'm wrong. We speaking about this as if it should only be a 1 day thing, and I absolutely don't believe that that's the case. It's a
And that's
long.
okay. I want you to challenge me, but then I'm going to come back with something, right?
Okay.
Do we have the infrastructure currently to carry out a long-term plan of action when it comes to boycotting?
If you do your homework, yes. If you do your homework, is it going to be convenient? Probably not. It's probably going to be more inconvenient than not. But w- it's really all about what you're trying to do, man. Are we really trying to affect the change that we want to see? Are we really trying to make a loud, and boisterous actions? Or are we just trying to, do what quote unquote has always been done? Loud for a little while, you upset, you mad, and then 2 weeks later, 2 days later, you go back to doing your regular life stuff.
Mhm.
But that's
Um,
the part where we need to organize. And we're gonna wrap this up after I say this, but that's the part where we need to organize because guess what? We got people that know how to move product.
we got plenty of
We
people with
got people that
products.
know how to move weight. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Now imagine if we could leverage those people. Look at BJ. BJ, like,
Yeah, I mean, this is what
But
I
you don't
was.
even got to go that far, man. I mean,
but
I
you do have to
understand.
go that far because you got to include these folks because you got to include them in the consumer market,
Right. And
right?
I get that.
And you're elevating them at the same time because
I'm
they got
all
to make
about
they got to
I'm
make
all
money.
about opportunity. I just know it ain't for everybody. I subscribe to that too. I'm not trying to take opportunity away from anyone, but I also am a realist and knowing that it ain't for everybody. But I think, and we're gonna wrap this up, Curl, you can take us home. Um, there's enough directories. Well, at least I've seen them. Yeah, I started sharing my algorithm, and we'll try to throw a couple of them up on the 13th floor Instagram this week. But, do we have the infrastructure? Yes and no. Do we have the manufacturers and the people selling these products and set distributions? And do we, it's not cohesive, right? But do they exist? Can we get the band together? Absolutely. It's enough farms out here, community farms, where I go to get my fruits and vegetables. We can figure out hair care products for the ones that I guess that might just be me. For those of us that care about that stuff, they got beard products too.
Hey man, we need facial
Facial,
products,
but all of that stuff exists,
beards.
man. All of that stuff exists.
All the stuff is out there. Again, is the mass production and then distribution. And again, we have to be willing to be uncomfortable to get the job done.
And imagine what happens to that because you got to have money to scale. So if we can influx with certain businesses or these businesses to help them, they got to be able to meet the demand, right? Okay. They got the demand. They can hopefully find, funding sources, whatever, but they can scale their businesses to be able to help create the ecosystem that we need to thrive and survive.
There it
Here
is.
it is, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna leave it right there. We are going to actually intentionally go out and find subject matter experts on the things that we talked about in this particular episode that can give us an idea of what the blueprint could look like. And that's what we look forward to doing. So if you know someone, uh, please, drop their name in the comments. We would love to connect and have people come on and talk. Musaddiq Muhammad, it's time. We need you.
That's the first name I thought of. Like we have a Musa
Ben
D.
time. You was
We
talking
have a
about
Musa
reaching
D
folks.
going.
I'm like, that was the first name on top of my head. I'm like, most deep. He can do it.
Yep. Yep. We need you, brother. So we come in. I'm gonna tag you in this episode, send it to you, and go from there. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining us. Listen, share this. Share this. We need to get this out to other people because again, as I said, we just need to show people the 1 in 14 million possibilities that are out there that could work, that could change this whole thing, and it could change quickly. I don't want you to think that it's insurmountable. There's nothing that's insurmountable at this point. And remember, they don't think we coming at all. So that's on a larger scale, on an individual scale for you in case, look, you don't have the capacity to get into this right now. I want to help you find that capacity because right now you're working on something that they told you that you're not good at, and it's not true. You just don't do it the way that they do it,
Mm.
but you're probably super effective at what you do. And I want you to remember, you don't need to be perfect. We're not looking for perfection. We're looking for intention and we're looking for action.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you subscribe at 13th Floor, please, on all your social media platforms. And we're done here on the 13th floor, where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views, they are amazing.
Welcome to where the furniture isn't always the best, but them views, they are amazing.
It's a 13 for y'all. It's a 13 for y'all.